Okay, everybody, here we are at part two. Sorry, the video ended abruptly. You can also see, of course, in the early 20s, Russia becomes the Soviet Union. So we see a lot of significant changes. Also note that there are some significant changes elsewhere outside of Europe, including in the Middle East. But first, a couple more things about Europe. Some of the land that's in the light purple is land that gets ceded by Russia in the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. If you look at the green, you can see some land that gets ceded by Germany. This includes like Alsace and Lorraine. You also have a demilitarized zone, which is the Ruhr area, and also Saar, which is near, it's like kind of the coal fields and the industrial center of Germany. So we get some areas that are completely demilitarized. This is a buffer between France and Germany. We also have land that's ceded by Germany that will go ultimately to Poland. And we also have the land that's ceded by Austria-Hungary, and a great deal of that will become land that goes to, the new Yugoslavia, Romania, and so on. And lastly, if you look on the bottom right of this map, you see Syria and modern-day Lebanon as a French mandate. You also see Palestine, Transjordan, and Iraq as British mandates. The mandate system is something we'll talk a little bit more about tomorrow in class, but the mandate system is kind of like pseudo-colonialism. This was a way to promise that these regions would become, in the future, independent states. But because they were not ready yet, there is an effort to put them under France and Great Britain. But this gave, frankly, imperial control to France and Great Britain. And this was really done as a secret treaty earlier than the Treaty of Versailles, the Sykes-Picot Treaty. And this really reshapes the Middle East and gives France and Great Britain a great deal of oil resources and access to a variety of other resources. And in many cases, this represents groups of people who fought on behalf of Britain and ultimately get promised independence, and it doesn't happen as a result of the mandate system. So that's something significant. And of course, a lot of these changes will have, longer term impacts in American history. If you look at Europe and the Middle East before and after World War I, you can see some of the new nations that are noted, and also some of the Allied occupied zones, like between Germany and France. Okay, so I hope that helps, and you kind of get some of the big takeaways of the Treaty of Versailles. And there really was a huge effort to redraw a lot of the territorial boundaries. But this also made a huge difference for people on the ground, all of a sudden, who were, for example, German speaking and German and ended up living in Poland. People who were living in certain areas of Austria-Hungary now all of a sudden were part of Yugoslavia or Czechoslovakia. So people's entire, political framework completely changed, and there were huge numbers of people who completely were displaced, migrated, and moved. So it was really quite an extensive shift and change. You can see some of the extent of this, and that's the mandate system. Very much something that, relates to the current crisis in Gaza to this day. Okay, be well, everyone. I will see you in class. Okay, this is kind of the last slide.